1 month down into the 2024 regular season, the Dallas Cowboys are 2-2 with their Thursday night football win last week against the New York Giants. They've got a tough challenge coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Steel City as we enter Week 5 here on Special Edition. Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us here from the Star in Frisco. And gentlemen, Pittsburgh Steelers are one challenge. They're 3-1 playing good football behind Justin Fields and a solid defense. But the Cowboys are without some of their key players on both sides of the football. DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, and Brandon Cooks out this week. Could be out for longer. Barry, what's the number one challenge facing this Cowboys team going into Week 5?
There's plenty of challenges out there, but for me, the number one challenge that you got to figure out is how do you neutralize the former Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt? All right, we understand that this guy is a game wrecker out there, whether it's running the football, getting after the passer. We've got to find a way to neutralize him and not let him become a game wrecker.
Well, you're going into Pittsburgh to play against one of the more dynamic quarterbacks in the league right now, and that is Justin Fields. He has the ability to throw the ball, he has the ability to run the ball, and he's just gaining confidence every week. You're doing so in a week in which you're missing both of your pass rushers, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, normally that wouldn't be so bad because your number 3 guy would be Sam Williams. Well, you lost him prior to the season, so you're down all 3 of your top defensive ends. You have to try to find a way to get some pressure and slow this offense down.
I feel like you gotta run the ball. I mean, it's going to be hard running up against that wall. They're only giving up 86 yards a game, but you have to find a way because our left tackle is in disarray right now, and you have to give him a chance. You just can't let these guys tee off on him 40 or 50 times. It would be unfair.
So that's from the offensive side of things. Let's flip to the defensive line. DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons out with injuries to the lower body. Nate, I'll go right back to you here. It's significant having both of those guys out, but how much of an impact does that shift all of the focus on this defense downward?
I tell you like this right here. You're going to just have to – I hate to say this because I don't believe in this, the next man up. But Marshawn, he has to come to play. A few other guys, we got K.J. Henry, we got off the wire. These guys have to come ready to play. And they have to form some type of wall against this team because you know they're looking at the Ravens tape. It ain't so much the pass rush I'm worried about. It's how will you defend that run.
Yeah, and talking about the run defense, you know, Dallas is at the very bottom of the league in terms of rush defense, and you're about to play one of the top 5 teams in terms of rushing offenses because these guys run the ball on average 35 times a game. So if you run on average 35 times a game, what do you think you're going to do when you play against one of the worst rush defenses in the league? I'm running the ball 40 times. So you talk about the interior presence, Kyle. Somebody on the interior is going to try to show up in a major way because these guys are definitely going to test your physicality.
Yeah, this is a game where Zimmer, he's going to have to rally the troops on this one. And to me, first and second down are going to be extremely important for this defense. They got to force Fields to be in those passing situations on third down. And to do that, you got to earn the right to rush, which is hold this team on first and second down. You can't let Najee Harris, you can't let Warren and those guys get this defense to where it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, because those are going to be easy pickups. You got to go out there and force 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9s to force Justin Fields to throw the football, and I think you can have an advantage that way.
So Nate Newton talked about it. Even Micah Parsons presented a challenge to Marshawn Nealon. He's got to step up in a big way. Here's his thoughts going into the week and how his role now changes going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Definitely just taking that, just knowing that, you know, it's football, injuries happen. And, you know, I like to prepare like I'm going to play a lot anyway. So now just knowing that, you know, I'm going to play a really good amount. It's just, you know, it's just be playing football at the end of the day.
So Marshawn Nealon having to step up in a big way. The Cowboys will need somebody else on the offensive side to step up as well. Brandon Cooks out this week. It was a late week storyline as he underwent a procedure following the Thursday night football game against the Giants, but then developed an infection that kept him out and kept him in New York for an added period of time. Unfortunate not to have B. Cooks in the fold, Barry. How does that change your outlook on offense?
Well, I just think it puts more on the plate of a Dak Prescott. I mean, he's going to have to step his game up, and not only his game, he's going to have to rise the rest of these guys around him to step up as well. And to be honest with you, Kyle, I don't know who needs to step up, whether it's the offensive line giving Dak more time to go through his progressions, Ferg, Tolbert, or getting his run game going so you have a balanced approach to it. But whatever the case may be, I believe this is more on the shoulders of Dak Prescott. at him.
Well, you talk about the offensive line. The offensive line is actually giving Dak the 6th most time in the NFL. So he has the time to throw the ball, but now it's going to be who's going to be that next receiver that steps up. You got Turpin, you got Tolbert, you got all the T's. Somebody's going to have to get up here and get some first downs. I need some F's.
Ryan Flournoy. Maybe a Flournoy is an F that you can find a way to utilize on that offense and in that wide receiver room. Tough sledding so far. When we come back here on Special Edition, we're going to talk about Najee Harris and the Pittsburgh Steelers, what they bring from a run game standpoint. Isaiah said it. They're one of the best rushing offenses in the National Football League. But first, we're going to talk to Cowboys COO Stephen Jones. He'll sit down with our very own Nick Eatman right after this on Special Edition.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
The Dallas Cowboys took an opportunity in the mini-bye to take their annual team photo. Had everybody up on the stanchions inside Ford Center to cheese and smile, commemorating what the 2024 Dallas Cowboys team and front office looks like. Dak Prescott in attendance, Trayvon Diggs, of course. The entire Cowboys team smiling going into the week. They'll have to continue that against a real tough test with the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road this week. Mike Tomlin and company have had a culture of winning in Pittsburgh for so long, so much so that the entire league takes notice. And Cowboys COO Stephen Jones talks about his relationship with Tomlin and how it's grown over the years.
You know, it's a good week, and we're getting prepared to play the Steelers. I serve on the competition committee with Coach Tomlin, and he's always got his Steelers prepared. I think he's one of the longest tenured coaches, if not the longest tenured coach in the NFL, and that's for a reason. And he's always got his teams to play good, tough Steeler football, and certainly I know they're going to be attacking us where a lot of teams have started to come at us there against the run, but I like what we're doing.
All right, let's talk about defense, like you said. And, you know, it was a costly win, if you can have that, with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence both injured. Can you talk about their status and maybe the expectations of a timetable for them?
Yeah, I mean, as we know on injuries, you never know the exact time they're going to miss, but hopefully Micah is going to be on the shorter end of missing time. I mean, probably, you know, given that he's probably not going to play this week, but then after that it'll be week to week, and then D-Law's more significant with the foot sprain in terms of no one will probably be without him for, you know, at least 4 weeks, and you know, it could creep into, you know, 4 to 8 week time frame. You just don't know. Now, both those guys want to play football like no other. They're competitors, and I know if they can beat those time frames, they're the type of guys who want to get out there and get back with it.
Last one, Hunter Lipke. I call him Thanksgiving because he just keeps putting things on his plate and he just keeps taking it and taking it. What could he not do? I mean, it seems like every week he's doing something a little bit more.
Well, Mike's always been a big fan of his and compared him to players he's had in the past there at Green Bay. But, you know, this guy can. I mean, he's a really, really good fullback. He can play tight end. He can be the running back on third down, great in pass pro. I mean, as you said, he's a tool.
Yeah.
We used to call it, you know, a tool who could do so many different things. Yeah. And certainly he's just a football player and makes plays when we need him to, whether it's a short yardage run or a catch out of the backfield or picking up a blitz. You know, he's up for the task, and he's a really good football player to have on this team.
You can catch all the interview with Stephen Jones and our very own Nick Eatman on DallasCowboys.com and the Connected TV app. When we come back on Special Edition, it will be a challenge. Mike Tomlin's bringing the pressure with T.J. Watt and company. They're going to have some heat on Dak Prescott. How do the Cowboys respond to the tough challenge ahead?
This segment was brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
This will be an opportunity for the Cowboys to come back and show their winning culture in a way against the winning culture of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team 3-1 underneath Mike Tomlin. Of course, they've never had a losing season
17 years
underneath Coach Tomlin, and there's a reason for that. They have a mentality, and they've also had some pretty good fortune when it comes to quarterbacks, and they seemingly have found another one in Justin Fields. He's playing significant football, 6 straight games with a passer rating above 90, and he's been playing lights out. Barry, I'll start with you. What makes it so tough to try and guard a guy like Justin Fields?
Well, I think, the difference between when he was in Chicago versus where he's at now in Pittsburgh is he's not turning the football over. I mean, I think he has maybe 1 or 2 turnovers the entire season, and he's playing to the strength of his team, which is the run game and the defense. And to me, if you keep that formula going, you're always going to have success and always have an opportunity to win games.
When you talk about him not turning the ball over, well, they have made this offense super simplistic for him, and that's not to take it anything away from him, but the fact of the matter is they're giving him stick routes, 5 to 10 yard route combinations, super easy to read. If it's not there, utilize your legs. The offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, he is all about running the ball. So if you're able to run the ball, 35 times a game, then obviously their passing game, you don't need much from it. So they're putting him in a very positive situations for him to be successful.
And they stand out in the middle of the field with him. Everything's to the outside, like you said, to the sticks. He's not throwing nothing deep. They're keeping it very simple. And a great running game. And the defense you talked about, Barry, hey, this kid is playing special ball right now.
During his time as a starter in Chicago, he was 9-27 in terms of record. He's 4-2 as a starter in his last 6 games. All right, moving to the ground game, Isaiah, you talked about it earlier. Najee Harris has a significant portion of that ground attack, but he's not the only one that can have some success.
No, he's not the only one. Obviously, you have Warren, you got Patterson, those guys that are backing him up. They run with all 3 of those running backs, but also you got the quarterback that can run the ball. Dallas luckily has had a little bit of work with that, obviously against the number 1 running quarterback in the league, and Lamar Jackson this year already. So they've seen a dosage of that. Hopefully they can utilize that film to help them in this week's game.
Like we spoke about earlier, they finna run this ball, and Najee finna get it all. He finna get everything they can give him. It's time to crank it up. With 4 or 5 games in, it's time for your workhorses to go.
And now I want to talk about this defense because the offense has some challenges. Don't forget about Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, and those guys in terms of pass catchers. But this defense, gentlemen, it might not be the steel curtain of the 70s, but Barry Church, they do a lot of things right, and they have playmakers at every level.
Yeah, to me, this is the definition of a unit. You talking about these guys all play together, and they all understand their roles. If you look at that defensive line at all 3 levels, they have Pro Bowlers, they have all pros led by T.J. Watt. I mean, that right there is a man coming off the edge. You know where he's going to line up each and every snap out there, and it's your deal to go out there and try to defeat him. He is not going to go out there easy. He's got moves from pass rush, from power. He can do it all. Then you look at the second level and Micah Fitzpatrick. To me, that's going to be the matchup to keep your eyes on. Dak Prescott versus Micah Fitzpatrick. The way he likes to disguise his defenses out there and top quarterbacks into throwing interceptions, he's one of the best safeties in the National Football League, and this defense plays as a unit.
And you can look for Cameron Haywood. This dude is balling, man. He's hardcore. And that's going to be against Tyler Smith, so that's going to be a great matchup. And don't forget about Patrick Queen just roaming back there, and he's your 5th pass rusher.
You heard these guys talking about some of the guys. I'm more concerned about T.J. Watt versus Terrence Steele for as many snaps as we have offensively. That's the trouble that I foresee Dallas having. But, yeah, they might not be the steel curtain, but they definitely a blacked out sheet.
They have some of the same DNA, right? And maybe it's the black and gold. Maybe it's the way that they rally around Mike Tomlin. They've got some emphasis on defense, and the Cowboys will have to find a way to contain it. Not the only thing they're containing, though. Isaiah, stand back. When we come back, we hit the film room. Justin Fields is a threat. How do you contain the mobile quarterback in Pittsburgh?
This segment was brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
Welcome back in this special edition. The Cowboys and the Steelers facing off this Sunday night. We've got Isaiah Stanback to break down just how the Cowboys can overcome some of their recent injuries on the defensive side of the football and continue to get pressure on Justin Fields. He's a phenomenal runner. Keeping him contained may be the key to a win or a loss for this Cowboys team.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And obviously you're going to be missing Micah Parsons. You're going to be missing D. Loss, right? Your starting defensive ends are gone. How are we going to get pressure? Well, There is a way. I found a magic little key here.
This is the way.
This is the way, okay? Follow me. All right, so the man, the legend, okay, right here, Mr. Justin Fields is obviously going to be lined up back here. Okay, one thing that he struggles with and has struggled with this year is two high safety shells, okay? As long as you have these defensive ends that stay true, right, and keep containment, your guys on the inside can work, okay? But why does this give him problems? Well, on the outside, you're going to have cover two. These guys are responsible for the flats here. Okay, up high, safeties, responsible for that, responsible for that. Here, here, here. What does that do? Well, what that does is keep everybody in front of these safeties, okay? These guys are able to sit back and keep all routes that want to come in here inside, okay? So now, all of a sudden, Justin Fields is being so precise because there's some quarterback by the name of Russell Wilson who's sitting behind him. He doesn't want to throw any interceptions. So it gives you time to work up front. So as you guys see him dropping back here, they're running a lot of high-low type routes. Pause it for me right there. They got a guy going to the first level. They got a guy coming to the second level. And then at the third level, they have a guy who's going to be working in here who right now is wide open in this cover two high shell. But what is he doing back here? This man right here does not want to throw an interception. So he's looking at everything that is underneath. And while he is waiting on those guys to come open that are never going to come open, his man that's actually open right here in the middle of the field is sitting there waiting on him. It gives you time back here. You see right here, Khalil Mack is able to work on the front defensive line to go back there and get a sack. He's sitting back there. He wants to be so perfect. He doesn't want to throw an interception that he's waiting guys to come free. And while he's waiting, you have time to get up front because you're not allowing anybody to get past your secondary.
And the Chargers weren't the only ones to have some success with that as well. Indianapolis did the same thing whenever the coverage was good enough, allowed for the deep routes to be covered, even with the two high safety shell. How does that continue for the Cowboys this week, and how do they follow what Indianapolis did?
Yeah, same thing here, okay? Boom. So we're talking about these shells, okay? You're talking about too high. This is what Coach Zimmer likes to run as well. So this is something that should make you feel very confident right now. These are the responsibilities of everybody. We just talked about what they're doing offensively. They want to run a guy over the middle, okay? They want to run a guy on a low route. They want to run another guy on a low route, okay? So he's sitting here waiting on these underneath coverage routes to pick apart this one. Really, the man he should be throwing to is right here. But is he looking there? Absolutely not. Okay, he wants to be precise. He wants to take the easy routes. He wants to throw it to these guys underneath, okay, running nice little hitches, running flat routes. And while he's looking for those guys that are going to be covered right now by your flat defenders, okay, these guys that are sitting down here, his man that's open, again, is right here at the second level, but he's not trying to throw it there because there's a lot of guys that are sitting over the top. Again, while he's waiting on those guys to get free, you have time to get back here and have a party at the quarterback. He has been sacked 10 times this year, and because of those 10 times, during those 10 times, 8 of those come versus two high shells. So there's a way to sit back there within the Mike Zimmer scheme, sit back there, keep everybody in front of you, and while he's trying to get those high precision passes, get your front line to get after these boys.
Secondary coverage, keeping the line of scrimmage steady at that point of attack, and keeping Justin Fields contained, all keys for the Cowboys to get a win. But when we come back, we give our official special edition keys to the game. Can Dak Prescott help lead this offense without Brandon Cooks in the fold into a Week 5 win?
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. And to watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Special edition presented by AT&T was brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Here we go. Run Zeke. Up the middle, he's gone. Zeke's gone. Goodbye, Zeke. Touchdown. Short yardage, pinched in. The Dogs got out. The Cowboys are going to steal one in Pittsburgh. 32 yards with 9 seconds left, and Dallas leads 35-30.
The last time the Dallas Cowboys made the trip up to Pittsburgh, Ezekiel Elliott over 200 scrimmage yards. He's one of just 2 players to do that over the last 8 years against the Steelers defense. The other one also a current Dallas Cowboy, Dalvin Cook. Back here with Isaiah, Barry, Nate. Quickly, guys, your keys to the game. I'll start with you, Barry.
To me, I think this is going to be a defensive struggle, so you got to make plays in the kicking game.
You got to force these guys to throw the ball. You can't allow for them to run the ball 30 times a game.
Yeah.
It's going to be all about Dak and Ferguson. If they connect a lot, this will be a big game for them.
And how do you think this one's going to go, Nate?
It's going to go down to the wire, man. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be greasy.
Ooh,
But you
I
know
like
what?
it.
It's going to come down to 1 point.
It's going to come down to 1 point?
Aubrey, 71 yards.
71 yards from NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, Brandon Aubrey. Even wearing the black and gold himself, he still picks the Cowboys to win it by 1. We'll see you next week with more Special Edition.